How's it going, YouTube? It's Elvin Ninja 7, your resident Mistweaver monk and favorite healer YouTuber. I appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving me lately. So let's get into a topic that is quite controversial, and that is, should Mistweaver be split into a ranged and a melee spec? So how I mean is, if you look at druids, let's get up here to druids if this would move out of the way. If we look at druids, they have 4 specs, whereas everyone else has 2 or 3. So they have their DPS, tank, and healer, but the DPS is split into feral and balanced, a melee and a ranged. So should Mistweaver be swapped into, or be separated into Fistweaver and Mistweaver, or Crane style and, I don't know, Mist style? I don't know. So I am going to be discussing that today and kind of going over how it would change and how it would look. So first up, we got to get into the talents, and this is kind of what the whole gist of the video is going to be, is just talking about the talents and how they would be different. So this is the current iteration of the Mistweaver talent tree. Now, since both playstyles are so different, you kind of get pulled to one side or the other, and one side will always be stronger than the other unless, you know, we live in the perfect world, which we don't. So let's talk about this. So right now, say that you were going to be a Fistweaver. You would play Feline Stomp, Ancient Teachings, and Rising Mist, and you would not be playing some of these other things like Peaceful Mending. It's a Soothing Mist build. Let's see. Enveloping Mist, you just don't get enough of them out. Like there are just so many Gust of Mist, you just can't control your Gust of Mist procs as easily. There are so many talents in here that you don't utilize, and then if you are a ranged or caster Mistweaver, you just don't utilize Ancient Teachings enough, Spirit of the Crane enough, Teaching of the Monastery enough. You won't utilize Rising Mist. Now these talent nodes, or these dual nodes, kind of are self-correcting in the sense that they kind of fix that problem. So like Rising Mist, you have Tear of Morning as its counterpart. So that, if that were the case where every single super melee heavy like Feline Stomp talent had a ranged heavy talent noted with it, then that could fix it. However, it doesn't. So you kind of just you are kind of forced to play ranged Mistweaver with like Feline Stomp, or ranged Mistweaver with Teaching the Monastery. You know, you kind of, right now we're kind of a jack of all trade, master of none, the perfect example of that in a class. So let's talk about what it would look like if we were to change. And I actually have some talents that I've kind of swapped out for each of the classes, each of the new classes. So I'm going to be going over that with you guys today. So let's go over the what the Fistweaver talent tree would look like. So right now, this is the Mistweaver one, and I am saying that we would get rid of these on the left and replace them with these on the right. So Unison would be gone. If we're Fistweaving, we don't want to sit there and channel a Soothing Mist. So as you see, Unison is down here. It's a tier 6 talent. Soothing Mist heals a second injured ally. We are not going to be utilizing that. Did I push it too far down? I might have pushed it too far down. Oh my gosh, professional YouTuber. Okay, we're going to be replacing that with Forbidden Technique. So Ancient Teachings now does 250% of the damage as healing. Basically, right now it's doing 150%. Back in Shadowlands, it did 250%. There's just going to be an extra talent down here that gives a buff to Ancient Teachings of the Monastery. So that will be a tier 6 replacement for Unison. We're also going to replace Mist Wrap, which is right here. Increases Enveloping Mist duration by 1 second and increases its healing bonus. Very powerful effect, but just we want to kind of streamline the Fistweaver playstyle. So we're going to add another node to Refreshing Jadewind. So right now that is a choice node between Mist Wrap and Refreshing Jadewind. Refreshing Jadewind, you can't see it there, but it is, you swirl a tornado around yourself of just a healing mist on 6 targets, and it just ticks over time. But it has a 45-second cooldown, so I propose that you can put a second point into that and get that down to a 20-second cooldown. Now, this would not buff the healing of each Refreshing Jadewind. It would just make it to recompress it roughly twice as often. So I think that could be pretty cool, and just kind of incentivize that melee playstyle. You know, Refreshing Jade Wind is a great melee healing ability. Right now, it's just way too long of a cooldown that no one is picking it. I miss it a lot, and you'll see that I kind of miss a lot of the Shadowlands buttons that we would press. But Refreshing Jade Wind is a big one that I think we're lacking right now, and it could just add to that healing that Fistweavers could do in their new identity. So then we're going to take out Peaceful Mending. Once again, another Soothing Mist talent, and that is right here. So it's right next to Tear of Morning or Rising Mist. So it's in a pretty awkward spot. And obviously we could take out a bunch more, but I don't want to change the identity too much by replacing some of these Vivify things. I want to allow them to also kind of weave. We still want them to weave a little bit. We just want to kind of take out some of these misplaced and misguided talents. So we're going to take out Peaceful Mending, and we're going to replace it with a new talent called Crane Dive. So after a 1 second channel, dive to the target location, dealing large damage to all enemies. And by large damage, obviously, I mean by Mistweaver standards. It's not going to do like Whirling Dragon Punch damage if you've ever played Windwalker. It's not going to do like big damage. It's just going to hit everything for a couple thousand, and it's going to be uncapped, a 3-minute just pure damage cooldown. They could even branch off of this talent and make it a healing talent. But I also would like to swap where this is. So we're going to take out Peaceful Mending, replace it with Crane Dive, and then swap it with these two T talents, the T choice node talents, these two, T of Serenity, T of Plenty. Plenty. We're going to swap that and put them here. So you're going to have this, which has Focus Thunder right next to it. You can choose Upwelling or Focus Thunder. We're going to swap that with we're going to swap this with the T talent, so you can go triple T like all right here, kind of put those back focused together, but then bring Crane Dive, just a damage cooldown right next to the Feline Stomp, just get that damage cranking. So I think that could be really cool. Nope, not that yet. We are still looking here. So that is what a couple of the changes to the Fistweaver talent tree could be. Now these are just my proposals. This is not going to happen, I'm sure, and if they do change it, I doubt it would look anything like this. But I do think that these would be really cool swaps. Unison is a great talent, very fun. Mistwrap does a lot of healing. Peaceful Mending kind of sucks, but they just don't match the Fistweaving playstyle or identity. You just don't want to stop and channel a Soothing Mist for a long amount of time. You want to be getting in there, diving in, Refreshing Jade Wind, just swirling healing around you, and you want to be focusing, prioritizing your damage rotation, your punches and kicks. And a stronger Ancient Teachings is the stronger that incentivization, you heard it here first, that's a word, is. So that is my proposals for the Fistweaver tree. Now let's look at the Mistweaver tree. So this one was a lot harder. I will admit it was a lot harder coming up with things. So we're going to be ditching Ancient Teachings. We want to incentivize just being enranged, and Ancient Teachings offers us nothing. If you're a caster Mistweaver, I highly doubt that you're playing Ancient Teachings. It just does not go with that playstyle. So we're going to ditch that entirely. We're going to replace it with a new spell called Echo of Yulon. It's a spell, a 20-second cooldown. So think like your Wild Growths or Dream Breaths. And this number is just like an offered number. You don't have to take it for granted, you don't have to take it as it's written, but apply Enveloping Mist to 5 nearby allies. And it's just basically Echo of Yulon, apply some kind of hot to 5 nearby allies. So Renewing Mist or Enveloping Mist. I think that could be really cool. Help you get your mists all around, help you get your hots out. But Enveloping Mist was the one that I kind of put down because it's a shorter one, and I feel like it's less abusable than having Renewing Mist out on 5 people every 20 seconds. But so yeah, that could be a nice juicy heal. It'd just basically be like a Wild Growth clone, I would think, but pretty strong. So you might have to adjust the cooldown too. So that's just an ability. But we're actually going to be replacing Revival. So ranged Mistweavers, I do not want to see Revival on. I think of Mistweaver as just being, yes, they're attuned with their teachings, but they're just more get in, punch and kick, very like brawly. So they need that panic button as their major cooldown. Revival is the perfect cooldown for Fistweavers. Press it, forget it. You know, no casting, no channeling, but Zen Balance. So Zen Balance, I would say, would be a very cool one. The name is kind of lame. I don't know. I came up with these, but you're gonna apply Stagger to the raid for 5 seconds, and then also apply some kind of hot to the raid. I feel like Enveloping Mist and Enveloping Mist is probably too strong of a hot. Renewing Mist is just too long lasting and too strong of a hot also. So just apply that Essence Font hot effect to the raid. So if you don't know what Stagger is, it's a passive for Brewmasters. So all the damage that they take, instead of taking it when they take it, they actually store it and take it as a dot over the next couple of seconds. So for the next 5 seconds, any damage that the whole raid would take, they're going to store that as a dot, and then you'll see that on their health bar, how much they're going to take, how much their stagger is, and they would then take that over the next 5 seconds. This would give your healers time to set up. It would make the damage a lot easier to heal. It would work a lot better with HOTS, especially if we're applying an Essence font onto everyone. Just a really cool thing. And also Stagger just has like built-in damage reduction capability, so giving them that damage reduction could be really awesome. So yeah, taking out Revival and just giving them just something unique, something that no other healer class has, would be really cool. And then last up, we're going to take out that whole Feline Stomp node. I know it's really cool and really good for Ancient Teachings and for Fist Weaving, but it's not as good in ranged. So we're going to replace it back with our old friend, tried and true Fallen Order. So you summon, over 24 seconds, you summon a couple little monk shadows that will kind of, they'll channel Soothing Mist, and they will channel or cast Enveloping Mist on anyone that needs healing. So it's just a ton of healing. It's passive healing. You don't have to be pressing buttons, and it's a really strong ability. But then some of the ways that they kind of like the legendaries that they gave you to kind of buff Fallen Order were what really made it broken. So they could kind of tweak that in the branching nodes, but just bring that back, bring back another good spell. This could also just be like Weapons of Order, which just gave you mastery, which is smart for a Mistweaver. And then yeah, so this could be just any of the other ones, but I know they can't really bring back Bone Dust because they just took it away from us. So yeah, just give them another spell like that. And then before we get into the main event, which is a buff that we just need, I do quickly want to talk about Mastery. I know that they would have to split up the Mastery, so that whole Gust of Mist whenever you apply a hot probably wouldn't still cut it. Maybe it would cut it for the ranged build. I think it's still a great Mastery for a ranged Mistweaver. But for a Fistweaver, maybe like every time you Rising Sun Kick or every time you Blackout Kick, you apply a small hot to someone. I mean, just someone nearby, apply a small hot, and it can't be extended by Rising Mist. So just something like cool, adding a hot onto your kicks could be pretty sweet. And then also I'm going to talk about Chi-Ji and Yulan. I think that both should still have access to both. I know that Yulan is more of a caster one and Chi-Ji is more of a melee one. But, you know, if a ranged Mistweaver really wants to go Chi-Ji just to dive into melee and kind of punch and kick a bit, then, you know what, go for it. Also, the final thing that I'm going to talk about is probably the most important thing, and that is the Mistweaver's damage. So how would Mistweaver do damage? Right now they have Chi Burst, which you just fire a line, you punch, and it shoots a line through everything in front of you. And does a small amount of damage, small amount of healing. And you have Crackling Jade Lightning, which you basically pee on the thing in front of you. You tickle it from afar. It's the worst ability in the entire game. So how can we buff their damage? One proposal is to give Mistweavers, the ranged Mistweavers, still have their kicks. Like, let them still have their Blackout Kick, their Rising Sun Kick, and maybe even Tiger Palm 2. They won't have the Ancient Teachings or any of the buffs to those abilities, but they're just the base abilities, and let them use them from afar. So when I punch from afar, it'll shoot a little Tiger Palm wave out, and it'll hit the first thing it hits. So it'll add this cool little aspect where you actually have to aim your abilities or your damage abilities, aim your punches and kicks to what's in front of you, so you can't just like face the wall and be punching and kicking and hitting the boss. You have to aim and add the boss. I don't know, it could be fun, but we have to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is Crackling Jade Lightning. Good lord, this ability sucks. So I'm proposing on the Mistweaver talent tree. Look how beautiful this little infographic is. So one talent node is a dual node. So Crackling Jade Lightning, if you put 1 point into it, does 20% more damage. I don't know. I just came up with these numbers to kind of match what we see already. I'm sure that they would test this a lot more if they actually did implement this. So you put 1 point into it, 20% more damage from your lightning. 2 points into it, you get 40% more damage. So that's just a base talent, and then that's going to branch off into 2 things. One is an AoE option, one is a single target option. So Crackling Jade Lightning hits 3 additional targets for like 80% of the damage. Once again, came up with these numbers off the top of my head. So you just add an AoE capability to it. Could be really sweet. I mean, this would make it really fun and actually good ability, a great ability actually. But then this one, so each time an ally is healed by Essence Font's heal over time effect, gain a stack of Zen. Then the next time that you cast Crackling Jade Lightning, it consumes each stack and does 2% more damage, or like 1% more damage, or 1.5 times more damage. But in this case, it consumes each stack and does 2% more damage per stack. So if you let Essence Font tick for 100 times on your raid, then you cast Crackling Jade Lightning. In this case, with 2% more per stack, you would do 300% of the damage, so 3 times the damage. And it could be really cool, and just do, you just do your healing effects for a while. You kind of forget about Crackling Jade Lightning, and then like no damage is coming out to your raid. You're like, okay, it's time for me to do damage. You do a fully channeled Crackling Jade Lightning. It does 3 times the amount of damage for the price of 1, and boom, that's it. So that is just some of the ideas that they could do to really transform Mistweaver and break it up and make it a master of both trades instead of a jack of nothing. They are literally, it's just sad because they'll buff one thing and the other playstyle will fall to the wayside while the other one still doesn't even get to the top. And it's just, they really need to split them up so they can really focus on them and make them what they really can be. I mean, really maximize their potential, and splitting them up it's starting to get to the point where it's becoming more and more obvious with each time that they buff one of these talents, one of the less played talents, which is really one of the less synergistic talents. It just becomes more obvious that they need to do that already. So those are my thoughts. I really think that this is probably going to come. If you look 5 years from now, I bet it's already happened. Hopefully it happens sooner than that. But let me know what you guys think. I know there's going to be a good discussion. I want to hear some of your talent options, what you think some good talents could be, what you think some good new base abilities could be, because Ranged Mistweaver is going to need some new spells to cast. I mean, some new hots, some new damage abilities. So let me know what you guys think about that down below, and then also just let me know what you think. Should this happen? Should this not happen? And yeah, that's gonna do it for the video. That is just my idea for what should happen with splitting Mistweaver. I'm really thankful that you guys have made it this far in the video. If you have, make sure and hit subscribe, and go ahead and check that you're subscribed, because YouTube's been unsubscribing people lately. I've seen some comments about that, so make sure you check that, and like the video if you like it. If you don't like it, hit dislike. Those numbers both help me, so let me know that, and then also comment down below. I want to see a lot of comments, because this is a topic that I think we can all be passionate about, and I think that Blizzard can see that we're passionate about it, and they might change that. So let me know down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.